Here we go. I'm back. After like over 10 days? I don't know how long it's been. But I've been sick. I've been ill. Been under the weather. But now we're back again. We got bananas in chat from Hero Blender, Dev Chimera, May School, Chiwi Pepper 01 and 4Gil. Thank you for bananas and letting me know that we are live. We now have the pre-stream music back. We listened to the Hermit Gang rap just before we got started here. Cool. So I'm back, and yeah, my voice might be a bit on the ropey side for streaming, you know, and talking straight for a couple of hours. So I'm just gonna like take things easy, talk a little slow, deliberately, right? I'm still sort of like coughing up phlegm. You needed to know. Oh, you needed those juicy details. I mean, the phlegm is pretty juicy. What? Okay. Yeah, I'm at this weird stage where I feel like kind of like 95, 99% recovered, but just coughing up phlegm. The sore throat's gone. I mean, there were some days where I was really under it. I'll probably talk about that at some point in the stream. For now, what we're going to do... Planes! New tunnels soon. So you can hear me clearing my throat a bit. Still got some funkiness going on there. We're gonna go build a new portal. I don't know exactly where it's going to be in the Nether. Well, in the Nether it'll be easier. In the overworld I'm not sure, but in the Nether we'll know where to build it. And I could have prepared by getting some coordinates together, but I've been busy all day just working on not the next episode of Hermitcraft, but the one after that. I was able to play so much on the server that I've had tons of stuff to do and talk about. Because I was just sick, you know. I wasn't exercising, I was just resting a lot. Astro Kitties, thank you for your lovely message in chat there. We've got some noises in the ear here. We have Astronomical Joy for 2 months, Ender Void Wolf for 12, Man Cheese Vibes for 3, Curls of Doom gifting a sub to Sound Wave Hope. We always appreciate the gifting of the subs. We also had 4 new Patreons signed up since I last streamed, which I can now see was actually 12 days ago. Brittany Huffman, Sarah, Fallen Demon, Darren Frederick, thank you for signing up. I hope you enjoy playing in our communal server. And yeah, thank you for the support. Register says, whoa, X speedrunning episodes. It's not really speedrunning, it's just like, if you've played on the server a lot and done a lot of stuff, you've got a lot to talk about. So like this, spoilers. The portal that I want to build will be just somewhere around here. So we need to trigger coordinate HUD. No. Nether coordinates. We are in the overworld. Those numbers will tell us where to build a portal in the Nether. So we're going to build a new Nether tunnel. That is what I want to do this stream. I've sort of wanted to expand the one that I had so that you could access it from 2 different tunnels. Just makes traveling around a little easier. But now I've got a reason to extend my Nether tunnel, and it makes sense just to hook this all up into one big thing. Something that we're going to need is this, yes. We'll grab that, thank you very much. Some stone. Aristotle B, thank you for your 6 months, and Zarku78, thank you for the prime, appreciate it. So we're going to nip round to where I went to a moment ago. Actually, no, let's sort out these coordinates first. And actually, you know, we're going to be ripping out this because we're going to be able to move on the opposite side of this portal now. Okay, so what I probably need is coordinate... No, that's the wrong one. Trigger. Coordinate HUD toggle. Yeah, so I need to get to -199. Okay, which is actually a little bit over this way. That's fine. So it's really the other number that we're looking for, which is 64. So when we go that way, yeah, it goes down. Let's get some stone blocks in our inventory. Wicked Smile, thank you for your 9 months. Twitch baby right there. Appreciate you subscribing and supporting. Hi X, hope you feel better, says Toothless. I do indeed feel much better. Hey X, have you ever participated in MCC? I have not. Looks like we're going straight into some netherrack. Hopefully some lava don't get me here. Ah, quartz. I'm gonna need quartz, right? Been working on a build, And I probably need to make like a bartering setup, and therefore I need a gold farm. I need to do some research. Maybe come up with a cool idea for a gold farm. Wow, is it really here? Because I remember checking some stuff, and I thought it was way closer to this one. It did say 64. So, maybe we'll create a connection to this tunnel, but probably not. So, the next thing that we can do is maybe start to build the portal, but in this direction we've also got to go connect to the hub. This is the thing here though, is that the hub on this side is like lower down, it's shorter, right? We're currently building from like here, but we're gonna be from over there. Let's find out the height, get a guesstimate of the distance. Maybe we'll do like a gradual slope. So the height is 86. And what were we at? Like 100? One Tired Crow's here for 3 months. 3 months, got my kitten last time and mentioned how she was a fan of Xisuma. This little cat is still a big fan of Xisuma. She comes and sleeps every time I watch stream. Ah, that's lovely. That is lovely. We love the animals, don't we? So from... I forgot the first number. Because I was about to say it's 80. It's not. It's only a few blocks up. 85, 86, 86. We're looking at 50... 50 blocks. And a drop of like 8. And it's a little bit more than 50. Let's say 52 divided by 8. 6.5. So every 6.5 blocks we go up a little bit. That's the usual thing you do in this game, isn't it? You kind of just make a natural gradient. Right? And then I'm thinking we could continue that natural gradient further onwards. I'm going to go with every 7 blocks. B-Sky Glow, thank you for 6 months of support. Half a year right there. We've got Pashki for 17. And gifted subs coming in. Just me. 1309. Thank you for supporting our community. And if you hear your name being read out loud, be sure to say thanks in the chat. We got Kotsk, Free, Fronico, Garth 12, Ultimate Wager, and the Viking Dane. You've all been gifted subs. Thank you for the lovely support as always, peeps. Did you get any games from the Steam sale, says Astro Kitties? I did. I did. There was a game on my wish list that cost like £2, and then it went on sale for like £1, and I thought, you know what? I'll buy it. Only cost £1. There needs to be a way in this game just to be like, place that block underneath. Here's a way. Fly over to where you're definitely going to be underneath and start building from there. Hi Xisuma, I love watching your Hermitcraft videos on YouTube. I'm also glad you're alright, says Carlo James. Thank you, my dude. I'm glad you enjoy those videos. I enjoy making them ever so much. Ever so much. I really enjoyed the last few episodes that I made. I had just such a I had such a shift in pace because I was sick, and I was okay. Let's go a little bit into the sickness story now, right? So, you know, I wake up in the night feeling rough, and I kind of know, this is it. I'm gonna be ill for a couple of days, right? This was some serious, like, lay in bed, can't move, feel awful, like muscles ache, sore throat. Not feeling very good. Not feeling very good. But I'm a fit and healthy lad, and it didn't knock me too hard. So the first day I was mostly watching Game of Thrones. I have watched so much Game of Thrones, it is ridiculous. Like, I started this thing kind of looking forward to having a nice long, you know, series to watch for a while, and now I'm like near the end of season 6 because I was just sick, you know, lounging around watching Game of Thrones all day. But yeah, I couldn't watch Game of Thrones all day. When I had the energy to sort of get up off the chair, I would come to the computer and play some Minecraft, and I really loved actually just playing the game without recording. I did a whole bunch of stuff where there wasn't this medium of like progress update, you know? It was just like, well, I want to keep playing, so I'm going to go work on this farm and finish that project. And I did a whole bunch of stuff without having to think about recording. So now later on I come and do the sort of the recording where you're like, hey, look what I did over here, you know, showing off all the stuff. I really enjoyed that. It really like reconnected me a little bit with the game, I feel like. I just realised how much of a pleasure it is to do some of the simple stuff in it, you know? So much of the time there's this whole making content angle, and sometimes you just want to play some Minecraft and not think about much, you know? Lightly Lucid says, Lo, I've been wanting to rewatch Game of Thrones again, but I have a hyperfixation issue and I think it's a bad idea, haha. Well, for me, my barrier to entry for rewatching Game of Thrones was just the ending. I was thinking, like, when you get there, it's really going to suck. And it has not stopped me from enjoying it, let me tell you that. There's also, there's been quite a lot in the story that I'd just forgotten. You know, just forgot, oh yeah, there was that thing, there was this thing. I also really enjoyed the first few seasons. Seasons 1 to 4 were terrific. Season 5, then all of a sudden there's like this big change of pace, because there's a lot of like people moving around the world, going to new locations. And I think by like mid-season 6 it kind of like gets back into its groove again, so to speak. But when I first started watching that show, there was only like 1 or 2 seasons out. And a friend who has a little bit of Hermitcraft history to the name, Sokar, was convincing me to watch this show, and I just didn't really get into it. And I tried to watch it a couple of times, and then it was like, Season 3 comes out, everyone's talking about it. Season 4 comes out, everyone's talking about it. Kept giving it a try, just couldn't really get into it until around like Season 4, 5, 6. Then all of a sudden I was really into it. And I seem to remember those being my favourite parts of the show. Having gone back and watched it again, I feel like actually it's the first seasons that I really like. Who's your favourite character, X? Says Vegeta. There's so many. There's so many. But I noticed something. I think the female characters in that show are so really well written. I've just seen, I think, too many shows where women are sort of like underplayed as to what they can offer. And in this show, I really feel like they properly flesh out the female characters and give you like a lot to root for. I really like, every time I go try and say a name, even though I've heard it said so many times, I say it wrong, but Arya Stark, her character early on is like really terrific, I think. When she's quite like headstrong and a little bit fearless in a naive way. Oh, please say Brianna, says Lightly Lucid. Yes, one of my other favourite characters, actually, Lady Brianna. Just such a like a different type of person from the typical sort of character, and very like noble and following her oaths and her morals and stuff. Whoa, she's like a really terrific character. And you know, like the other thing is like some of the best characters are the worst characters, right? There's one character I don't really like who's a bad, let's say a bad character, is the Red Witch. I never really vibe with mysticism and magic and sort of like spells and all of this, and I saw it in the fire, like follow the Lord. Even though it's real in the world of Game of Thrones, I've never really liked that, so I don't really like her character. She's very, you don't get like a lot of sense of character from her in the show and the way she's written, yet she's involved in some like really pivotal stuff, but it's all that magic, and so I'm not too keen on her character. But one of my absolute favourites is Joffrey, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't like Joffrey, you know, what a horrible character. But like that's what's great about him. He's horrible in a like terrifying on-screen presence kind of way. Like he'll make you scream. What's he gonna do next? Like, what is with this guy? What's he thinking? You know. The dog, amazing, says Ye Old Envelope. There's so many, right? There's so many. So many. And what I'm really looking forward to is like doing the sort of post-show dissection, which is something that when that show originally finished, I don't remember it being either as strong on YouTube or just I didn't have the sort of awareness to go and check it out. But I've been watching loads of like retrospective videos and people doing like video essays on really good movies and TV shows, and it's like a fun way to sort of re-enjoy stuff without actually watching it. Like maybe watching like a breakdown of The Matrix and its impact on pop culture, that kind of thing. And I never did that with Game of Thrones when it finished, probably because due to the way it finished, I probably just put my head in the sand and I was like, I hate this is rubbish, they've ruined the show, you know. That kind of attitude. The tension in the series during Joffrey's reign was quite intense, almost unbearable. That's it, yeah, like, because when he's on the screen, he can do anything. You don't know quite what he's going to do, and you know that the characters you love are going to suffer because of him. And that's what I think makes him such a great character, is that he can bring so much like emotion and tension to you as the viewer. So like a good character to me doesn't have to be a character that you identify with or they're like good morally. It's how they sort of impact the viewing experience, and I think Joffrey was perfect. And then like when he dies, you literally cheer his death. Like I so looked forward to that scene. It's kind of morbid, but like that's just the way it is. You know? That's just the way it is. It's like he's that rotten that it's like a relief when he's gone. We got some noises in the ear. We got Mama Bear 67 for 3 months. Tanner Baum 20 for 20 months right there. Doonts Dog Music with the subscription. Hopefully I got the name right. Poster Nerd here for 13 months. Enderbrand for 21 and Bell Steven for 16. Amazon Prime coming through. Thanks for the great content. Yeah, thanks for using the Prime subscription, my dude. And yeah, thank you everyone for your support. Appreciate it. Let's have a look in chat. A lot of people seem to collectively just not acknowledge GOT after the end of Season 8, so I think it's fair, says Foofy. Yeah, well, I imagine that so many people were disappointed with how it ended that I imagine a lot of people might have had a similar reaction. If that show had, let's say, gone for another 3 seasons, had properly had its storylines finished and fleshed out, and it would have just been revered as just one of the greatest, and people would have talked about it so much. But no, because of the way in which they threw away the ending, I think people were left with a sour taste in their mouth, and so yeah, it doesn't have that same sort of legacy where people want to talk about it as much. But I know there'll be fans on YouTube like making videos about it, and I'm just kind of looking forward to some of that fan content that comes after the show, where people like dissect the characters and talk about the plot points, and you can kind of get a deeper understanding of it again. Fun fact, Jack Gleason, Joffrey actually had to learn how to swear for his role in GOT, says Eclectica. Oh, right. I also know he didn't do anything else after. He decided, like, I've done that, and gave it a shot, and, like, acting isn't for me, and then moved on. Right, I think what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to build on top of this. So, to be level with the floor would actually be at that height. Maybe what we'll do then is go for another 7. Let's put a marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then go up by 1 here. And then that puts this thing sort of pretty central in the middle of this area. It's probably about as good as we can get. There is actually another tip that I've just remembered from doing this like so many times, which is like you don't always have to start here, right? Like your gradient doesn't have to actually be at this point. You can kind of just make like the beginning go a little bit longer. If that makes any sense. So I think what we'll do is maybe just shimmy this over. Like we want 1 block in the center. Maybe what we'll do is go... How many blocks was this? Was this 8 or 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we got to stick on 7, but we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, sorry. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So then we'll continue this like gradient design, and then our tunnel has like this equal gradient maybe. We'll see how it goes. Or possibly I could just have the beginning bit raised and then keep it flat for the rest, rather than trying to like keep it smooth and steady the whole way. I think I might prefer doing that actually. I've done what we're doing here plenty of times, so maybe we'll do it different. My favourite part of GOT fan culture was the interview complaints of the cast. They were a great cast. I've seen those actually. Like, they just fully acknowledged that they hated the way the show ended. And, yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? Since you're doing a slope, maybe a curved tunnel would be fun to fly through. Just a suggestion. Would be more work. Wow. That noise, if you heard it. I do that sometimes between words, just like it's like my need to take a breath just gets muddled in between a bunch of words. Yeah, a curve doesn't make sense because it's such a gentle slope, right? And it'd look kind of odd. As for flying through, that's actually a really good reason to stick with what we're doing. So I think we'll just stick with it for now and mess around with this whole height, like sloped tunnel thing. So now we kind of know where we're going. I'm wondering if I should just lay down some base materials. We're essentially going to make the same tunnel design again, so we'll absolutely have the moss carpet in the middle, occasionally with some moss blocks, because now this thing goes up a little bit. I think we'll do that. I think I'll just get some carpets. You know, if a ghast... have I made a mistake? I think I made a mistake. Yes, it would be at this height. So there'd be some sort of turning off here. I meant curved like in the east-west direction, but it's your call, says Vegeta. Oh, you mean like left to right? Again, it only needs to be a straight line, so there isn't really a need to curve it. Let's read some noises in the ear while I figure this stuff out. Liger Gaming, thank you for 34 months. Rad Steve is here for 2. Glad to catch a stream again. Really like your content. Thank you, my dude. Thanks for coming by and supporting. Doopy, 29 with the Amazon Prime. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And Toothless2109 for 2 months. Hi X, I'm a first-time subscriber and a Twitch baby. Well, a Twitch baby is a 9-month subscriber, and you're a 2-month subscriber. I don't know what's going on here. I've been watching you since Season 4, and you're live as well. I have scatica, so I'm in and out of bed. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Thank you for your great entertainment. It's helped me get through the rough time. Sorry to hear you suffering with that. I've not heard of that one before. Possibly I have, and I just can't read the spelling very well. But thank you so much for the support. Spooky Doggy's here for 60 months. Evil X, another one, joins the cult. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If I raise all of this up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... it'll probably just about work out. Yeah, no, we're good, we're good. Okay, so I think putting in the moss next makes a lot of sense. Let's go find some moss. This reminds me that I need to make a nether tunnel in my world. I keep getting rolled by hoglins. There is a nether tunnel that I go through that also has a hoglin problem. I never really finished the story. Is it a story? Of course it's a story. I never really finished talking about my sickness, but also I still feel like talking about Game of Thrones a bit. I mean, there's so many things I could talk about in that show. One of the things was the sex scenes and the amount of nudity. I completely forgot how much of that stuff there was. It's like a reputation of the show is there's a lot of that, and then there's like tons of gory deaths and stuff. It's interesting what the things you remember are, because I did not, like, remember just how much of it there is. It's like every episode there's, like, an explicit scene or four. There's a lot of it. And there's quite a few gory deaths as well, where I'm like, oh my god, I remember the reputation, but seeing it again, it's like, wow, this show really is horrifically violent at times. I felt like the explicit scenes stopped for a while when they picked up again, and randomly it felt weird. Yeah, season 5 and 6 hasn't had as much, it feels like to me. Oh wait, where am I building this? Because this thirst tunnel is free wide, and we'll keep it free wide. That's absolutely fine. Although, use this sometimes, you know. Like, do I want to build the same entrance like that again? Or should we go for something wider over here? I think we're going to end up going for something wider. I can't watch violent stuff anymore. I just don't want to see those images. I used to be fine with it, Severstew. Yeah, I'm a little bit like that. Because I've already seen it, though, I feel like I can get away with it. But yeah, violence, a bit more queasy for me these days. I think it's just like seeing more of the humanity in people. Like it becomes a bit hard to like tolerate like the suffering of others or something. So we'll start off with this thing being just free wide like that. I'm gonna come back and, well, actually, you know what? Let's just take care of it now. So these need to be like full moss blocks. Still some carpet on top. Oh. Oh yeah, no, okay, right, managed to confuse myself. As I would do, of course, me being me. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. I can stand brutal combat, but I can't stand torture simulation. Yeah, the torture scenes. Oh my god, they are rough to watch. That Ramsay Bolton is just another Joffrey-like character. That is. Did I like mix up? I should have mixed this up in here. Look, there should just be some occasional green carpet, you know, to break things up. These two are so similar. Do that in the new area, but I was not intending on putting carpet there. That's all it needs, just a few bits here. You'd barely even notice. You really have to look for it with moss. I feel extremely sad when a character in a show gets cheated on. My heart just sinks. That's what gets me more than violent scenes. Yeah, you don't want to see your characters go through heartaches and pains, of course. It's Danny03 is here for Thor months. Hi X, because of you talking a lot about Star Trek recently, I started rewatching it too. We'll never stop loving it. Yeah, it's such an amazing show, right? Thank you so much for 4 months. The Caitlin Plays is here with the Amazon Prime as well. Thank you so much for the Prime. Appreciate you. Ramsay could have given Joffrey a run for his money, says Lightly Lucid. It would have been interesting to see those characters kind of conflict or meet, but it'd probably be a bit contrived for something like that to happen. Right, and I think that's 7 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and I guess these get to be moss blocks, don't they? So yeah, I got sick and watched a lot of Game of Thrones. So let's see, I was saying that, yeah, I basically woke up in the night and it's like, yep, I'm rough, I'm ill, I picked up something, I don't know what it was from, you know, but you know how it is, you pick these things up and then you're thinking, oh, like, where have I been? What have I done? Like, but it's a bug, I got it. And interestingly, my dad has COVID at the moment. Fingers crossed for him, but he has been boosted and vaccinated, so I think he'll be fine. But it's just one of those things, you know, like one person gets sick, someone else gets sick, all these plans are constantly changing. I had some really nice plans actually that all changed because I got sick, had to miss out on some stuff that I wanted to do, but you know, hey, it happens, right? I had a couple of trips to London planned that just fell apart. But anyways, so it was really the first 2 days that I was like properly off my feet, and then by the third day I was like resting a lot and going for some walks, and then by like Monday and Tuesday of this week I was working out a little bit again. Was I? Is it Monday and Tuesday? Wait, what day is it today? It's Saturday. Yesterday was a run. Friday. No, it was Wednesday and Thursday I was working out. You know, just taking it lightly. Like, after you've been sick, your strength kind of just disappears. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm better now, I can just jump back into training as normal or something. So, just going to ease my way back into it. But one of the nights, oh my god, it was awful. I woke up about 5 or 6 times, absolutely dripping in cold sweat. Right, I had to get a towel just to wipe myself off, and then wipe off the sheets and stuff. Like the way I saw it was like, what's the point of changing the sheets? Because I'm just gonna wake up again sweating before long. And then after a day or two of that, I wash them. I'm not that filthy, but it seems pointless. You put on some new sheets, they're just gonna get wrecked straight away. So I was like wiping everything off with a towel, and it was awful just waking up in a cold sweat. So like I had that for a couple of nights. It was very, very feverish, I guess. But yeah, the worst of it was really just the first 2 days, and then, you know, slowly day by day, getting a bit more strength. Sore throats getting a little less irritable. One thing I learned that I do not recall knowing this last time I had a sore throat, but I looked it up a couple of days into having this thing. I was like, man, this is awful. I need some internet wisdom or whatever. So I looked up, like, you know, things to eat when you got a sore throat. And ice lollies was on there, and I was like, ice lollies? I've never heard that one before. Oh my goodness me, do ice lollies help with a sore throat? It did say it's like more of a preference thing. So I found that like hot soups are really good, but ice lollies hit so much better. And so I went and got some ice lollies and just like had a couple of those every day, and they helped so much with a sore throat. Like, they really soothed it. I think you got to get the right type though. Also, eating ice cream was another one. Like, I had a tub of Halo Top one evening, and that just, you know, sit there slowly eating it, and it just soothes the sore throat over and over again. What exactly is an ice lolly? It's like a lollipop, right? But a frozen one. The Roundtree's watermelon are my favourite ones, and those were the ones that I had. And you know, you can just suck on them, and it just basically trickles really cold, flavourful water down your throat, and it soothes it. They're often very childish the way they're packaged. Like, they tend to be aimed at kids. So that's like one thing. But they are just terrific anyway. Like, I've always enjoyed a good like ice lolly. But yeah, when you're sick, it really does help. You see here, like, with it being this low and then just popping up, it feels a bit odd. So I think what I might do, I'm not even sure if I like it that much. I kind of like the idea of it just being level and having some steps at the beginning. I think I might actually change and just do that. I don't really care if I just place all this stuff down. That's something I learnt this week. while I was sick is like this productivity mindset that us creators have a lot. Sometimes you just got to enjoy what you're doing, and sometimes it's just fun to play Minecraft. You know, doesn't matter if I get this thing banged out in a stream or not. Sometimes you build something and you're like, actually, I think I'm going to do this different. Because I really like this tunnel design. I just kind of want to build it again, but slightly different. So we could put a bunch of, like, spruce steps coming up to this level. I think I might try that. I used popsicles and stuff for sore throats when I did a lot of voice musical theatre. It really helps as the one tired crow. Yeah, it is said to be a personal preference thing, right? But I loved it. It like hit so well and helped soothe it, and I don't know if it like helped it heal quicker overall. It certainly felt like it. See, here's the thing. It's actually like quite high up, isn't it? Maybe it isn't a good idea. You're looking at stepping in and then going up like a big flight of stairs. Maybe mossy cobble slabs. Oh yeah, to like break it up a little bit. Dunno. Let's see if we got some wood. Do you know, look how laggy it gets now that I've got all of these things with images on them. It's definitely not optimized. Wait, did this one have spruce stairs? I'm gonna grab that one. And it gets a little less laggy the less things are in there, right? I think. Maybe I should take them all out and experiment and just see if that's the case. I'm trying to get it so that I can have them rendered on the boxes in the world, but it might end up making that super laggy too. Which would really suck, because my storage system is gunning for it. So like, you step into the tunnel, that's a given. And then we're talking about a flight of steps like this. It's quite a height difference between each of these tunnels. Yeah, it's that. I don't know. What do y'all think? I think I might let chat decide. Oh, I got some highlighted message here that I missed. Mods, if you could make a poll. Gradual slope or staircase? Gradual slope or staircase? I'm going to let chat decide. I'm going to let y'all vote. So it's like, do we just have this big staircase at the beginning and then into the normal tunnel? Or do we want to have it like a steady gradient over time? I will let y'all decide with a poll. And then my mods can let me know when that's done. Jonathan Nat said, I'm trying to get more into watching streams this year. I love what you're putting out. Keep being awesome. Cool, thank you. Hope you get more into it. Hope you find what you're looking for. Matthew Drakey says, I got a question. My friend wants to make a multiplayer for his friend group and wants to invite me to it. I want to join, but it's with all the mods 8, and on vanilla I have only built redstone in creative. Should I decline, or is there a way I can get myself ready for survival Minecraft in modded? It just matters if you want to play it or not, right? Like, and just be transparent with your friend. Just say, hey, I haven't played before. It might be that I don't like modded, but, you know, I don't think there's much harm in giving it a try. Right, the poll is in the chat. Please do some voting. Do some voting. Carlos James says, hi, xisumavoid. When you did that snapshot video about display entities, I had a brilliant idea for Hermitcraft. For the hermit shops, the shops could have giant items above them instead of item frames. Yeah, I don't know if we're really going to do anything with those things. I don't think there's like an easy way for them to affect what we do in survival, so yeah, I don't think it's going to be a thing really. It's more of a map making tool. Playing with friends on servers is the best way to play Minecraft, and ain't nothing wrong with trying new mods for Minecraft, says Squeak. Well, there you go. Mods, throw the results in the chat whenever you're ready. Oh yeah, Spokey's reminded me of the idea of putting walls or fences underneath here. Yeah, that would be something I would add for sure. The poll is super one-sided, says Dev. Well, the poll will dictate what we do. Oh dang. 12 people wanted the staircase, 109 wanted the slope. I think in that case we'll stick with the slope, right? We'll stick with the slope as you want it. I was hoping we would switch it up, but no, we'll stick with that way of doing it then. The idea of putting in the walls, can we do that now? Not with those blocks, but if I open this up, have stone cutters. Aha, there you go. So we'll chuck those in as well on our ways. By the way, we're listening to Rune Realms today. If you like the music that you hear, always be sure to go check it out. You can find all of their music on Spotify and Bandcamp. And I've absolutely been loving this musician's music. The next record of theirs that I picked out, I've been writing about them on my music blog. I actually, first impressions kind of feel like I found a dud. After like picking record up after record and just going, wow, this is amazing. Maybe it's not all golden. Hey, we've been streaming for 40 minutes. We're like on the second record on the playlist now. I noticed the music had shifted and gone all castle-y. The first record that we listened to had a lot of very sort of sea and exploration vibes that I really liked. This one's very medieval, might and glory, kind of a fair bit of ambience. I didn't know you could walk up to blocks via putting a wall with a carpet in front of it, says Squeak. Yeah, it's an old trick. Just, you know, like the fence post is actually a block and a half. So, same for the wall. So you can actually place something on top of it. And if that thing happens to be, you know, like a half slab or something flat, you still get that, like, push-up from being on top of the wall. We haven't had a single ghost. Didn't Tango add something up the top there that stops stuff spawning? It's kind of occurred to me. That might be why we haven't had like a single disruption so far. Pretty sure Tango did a thing. Oh yeah, that's got to be mossy blocks. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the 7th one will be these blocks. Yep, that'll do for now. The mob switch, yes, there's a mob switch. Well, that makes all of this a lot easier. If it weren't there, we'd probably been shot at a gazillion times, you know. Leafster01, thank you ever so much for your Amazon Prime subscription. We also got GBG here for 4 months. Thank you so much. I was totally zoned out. That was quite a few minutes ago, you know. Doing all the things. I was doing all of the things. So yeah, at the very front here, though, this one will just end up being a bit longer. Oh, candles. I think the light helps the green carpet pop out a little bit more. See, I'm trying to remember, I think we literally just put them in like that, around the other side. This is why I like the free cam, you know. I could have taken a screenshot. Ah, okay. That's how we did it. So some black carpet, some slabs, yeah. Well, that definitely looks hazardous. And now I wish I had some more, but I think I left the box in a tunnel somewhere. Oh no, it's right here. I've got it. Yeah, maybe I should have taken a screenshot, because immediately I'm like, oh yeah, wait, how did it work again? Let's take a screenshot of that. Also, let's coordinate... Trigger. Coordinate hub. Yeah, like that. Curls of Doom, gifting a sub to Blackjack. Thank you for gifting the sub, Curls, and Blackjack, thank you for all you do, and welcome back to another stream. Appreciate ya. Rad Steve says, I really want to play Minecraft on a server again, but I have no peeps to play with. Oh. What about the Let's Play Minecraft Together server? Uh-huh. I was doing some stuff and learned that I had the ads. Like, haven't used this in ages. There's all sorts of buttons here, but that's how it goes, really. You start using these things and then you forget about them. Like, I need one for Linktree. Linktree's the thing that I'm pushing now. It's like, everything's just in one place. Just go to the Linktree. Right, did I take a screenshot? No. Right, now I can put that on the other screen. And I can happily recreate the entrance. The same... Oh wait, just press that button. There you go. Ha. I mean, it's not like my priority to build this thing immediately now, but I might as well get some of it done. Huh. My inventory's just going to get cluttered now with stuff. Candles, trapdoors, amethyst crystals. I think those actually broke off, didn't they? How many blocks is this then? So I can kind of see. Look at the side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then what we want here is just something else. Because then it's like this. Let's go ahead and strip all of these. I feel like talking about Game of Thrones again. I was just thinking, oh, another great character is Sam. Really like his character. Just an all-round nice person in a harsh world, you know. Chat, y'all tell me your Game of Thrones memories and things, and we'll get waffling from there. A very good friend to Jon, yes. Jon Snow, you knew nothing, Jon Snow. Oh, when the Red Witch turns to him and says that, it's just, like, there's loads of little moments in that show where you're just, it's like, wow. But like, you forget about it. It's been so long. I'm not sure if I ever like really rewatched seasons 6, 7, and 8. Just kind of watched them through when they came out. Classic Chad says, never watched Game of Thrones, please don't ban me. Oh, there's none of that here. There's none of that. You haven't watched this one you mean there's gazillions of things you can do at your time and you haven't done this one thing right here? Oh, I'm gonna act like I'm mad or something. Gosh, no, we don't do that here. Unless I feel trolly, then we probably do that here. now that I think it through a little bit more, it seems like something I would do. But not in a serious way. Never in a serious way. Yeah, now I'm realizing that I just want pictures of the previous build, really. Let's go ahead and get slabs together, because we're basically going to start building it, right? Slabs and those things, yeah, they're good. They're good. Black carpets, I don't know if I've got what I need to make that on the fly. But this would be where the black carpets go. So we'll make sure that we got our stone blocks protecting hermits from their fall. It's one of the things that's crazy about this tunnel. If you ever accidentally click and mine these blocks, because you know there's haste and all of that, you just sometimes you can just plunge. Uh-oh, down you go. That kind of thing. I never watched Game of Thrones. I just now the one video clip where the servant brings the gold back and says they wouldn't accept the payment, and they sat down and demanded details. I don't even remember that bit. I'm sure I'll get to it at some point though. So let's see. Like I can do what I want here, right? Maybe I'll put my pillars like this, and then have these bits like so each time. Gonna need to go get more of that mangrove wood, that's for sure. Have you watched any other parts of the story, like the Dance of the Dragons or Aegon's Conquest? I'm a huge fan of deep lore and love the details in the story. I'm not even aware of what those are. Are those like side series or something? I'm surprised that the violence didn't grip me, because I'm a massive lover of violence. Because fight scenes are my jam. Wow, there's some pretty incredibly orchestrated ones in that show, that's for sure. Stuff with the hounds is terrific. Carl says, I like Sean Bean's character, but alas, Ned Stark, yeah, he was great, but like one of the first to go. The Dance of the Dragons is what the House of Dragons show is about. Okay. Yeah, one of the things I'm looking forward to learning when I'm done like watching the series is I want to find out like where the books and the show diverge, and like if it's worth like picking up a book to read to see where the actual story goes. But as I remember, I think the guy who writes the books didn't keep pace with the show, so like I don't even know if there's books that conclude the story or anything. Like I'm not sure how many books there are post the show that continue the story. I seem to remember there being a thing about it, like this guy takes a long time to write his stories. But you know, maybe one day there'll be a book to read. Have you read the books, says Toothless? I've not read any of the books. Again, it's one of those things I want to look into to find out, like, oh, what's in the books that's not in the TV show? Well, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the new spin-off show. I wasn't very interested, but now that I started watching this new one, I was like, oh, you know, give it a go. I found myself unable to read books anymore. I feel distracted too fast reading one, says Dev. Well, we live in a very distracted time. That's for sure. Like the nature of content and people's attention spans today have been kind of warped by the environment somewhat. So I'm not surprised to hear that, but it's something worth working on, I think. You want to be able to enjoy stuff properly. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention about being sick is that it really messed with my head. And like I mentioned it before, there's this notion. I think I heard it. It was in a Carl Pilkington podcast, where he's like, "Oh, I look forward to being sick because you'll feel really good after you get better." And like that's kind of true in a way. You appreciate your health more, but what I've noticed is as you get older, it takes a little longer to recover, and because you recover slowly, it's not like you just wake up the next day and it's like, oh my god, I feel so much better. That's what it was like when I was young. I remember you just used to kind of like get over the thing quick, and then you just like felt great because it's like, oh yeah, back to normal. This is terrific. Because now it always seems to take a little longer than anyone would like. I think we'll go all the way to there on that one. So sometimes it's like I kind of look forward to a little bit of downtime. in the way where like, okay, I'm sick, I'll, you know, I'll sit around and watch stuff and take a break from whatever it is I normally do, you know. And luckily, I feel like I did learn one lesson from being sick, which was Minecraft now just feels, oh, look at this, it doesn't work when you get to here. All of a sudden, the alignment changes. Oh no. Oh no. I think what I might do is just push it back by 1 block and never tell a soul. Yeah, we'll push it all back a block. Dev says, every time it gets longer and hurts longer, I feel ya. Yeah, it's more of a case of like when you're over it, because I was kind of over the worst of it after like 3 days, let's say. But then this sore throat lingers and you still feel run down, and it's not the same as when you were young, where you just kind of like perk back up and get into it. And because of that, yeah, it just, I don't know, it just felt not as enjoyable. But it really messed with my head. I got really moody and down. It's kind of hard to explain why now, because it just feels so much better. But yeah, maybe it's just the lack of exercise and stuff. So I kind of like struggled in another dimension as well. It was just like my mood was really pants, and still has been actually. Still not fully like feeling like my usual self. And you know, the mind does all those things to itself again. I've just experienced a lot of that lately. That the old habits re-emerging, the old thought patterns. A lot of like self-judgment and worry and neuroticism. Just finding myself, you know, like 1 minute I'll be watching Game of Thrones, enjoying it, and then all of a sudden I'm like worrying about something, and it's just like, dang, can't I just take it easy and enjoy this thing? I find it really interesting how this streaming space is always really good for me. I always love like coming here and hanging out, and it just feels like a time that's set aside to just be at peace and enjoy stuff, right? I guess maybe I've had that taken away from me a little bit. It's felt odd. Can you do any gentle exercises, Xisfoofy? Yeah, I can, and and I've been doing some hard exercise today. It's I don't know what it is really. Well, I do actually. It's something that I can't really go into detail about, but yeah, I've just had like a lot of old brain chemistry firing, and I'm reminded of how like neurotic and unhelpful my mind is to itself sometimes, and it's just going to take a bit of work to like get back on track. But like as a content creator, that stuff can be dangerous. Like, it's real easy just to sort of think of yourself and what you put out there into the world as not good enough a lot. And I think it comes from, well, I haven't really thought too much about what it comes from specifically. It's more of a case of just kind of like understanding what it is. You got to keep these things in mind, like, you know, like counting your blessings. Comparison is the thief of joy. There's all of these little notions that you learn and wisdoms that you hold on to, but like sometimes they just go out of the window, and your brain just keeps firing on this different level. And so I guess, you know, I just want to kind of get back to the groove, the routine, the sort of normal mindset that I've built for myself, where I can just enjoy what I do and not worry about it. The good thing is that you recognize that, and if you've got a strong network around you, sometimes just reaching out and asking for help can help. But I know it's not easy, and it's easy to slip back. Yeah, oh, you made me think of something. Like, there was something that I wanted to do. I'm not really comfortable with being like, hey, I feel rotten and I want your company. I barely recall doing that. But there was something that I wanted to do yesterday, and I couldn't bring myself to like reach out and ask. And man, did my mind just go back and forth on it and just torture myself about like a simple gesture of asking something if they want to come out and like eat or like go do something together. And I ended up realizing that like I was just building all these excuses in my head not to reach out. And that's like that neuroticism of just like torturing yourself with it, and whilst telling yourself you can't. Ugh, it was a bit ugly. And yeah, it all just got triggered by being sick. Well, and some other stuff, but like, I think it's more a case of probably the other stuff, and then just like having to sit with yourself when you're sick, and not being able to like do what you originally planned on. I don't know, it really messed with me. So it just feels weird to talk about right now, because streaming just puts you in this good space, takes it all away, all that neuroticism goes away, and you just hang out, enjoy what you're doing. Nah, it's a thing, being human, right? It's like a constant battle, trying to figure out how to make each day happy and good and whatnot. Hey, we've got a noise in the air. It's Dante Redeye here for 38 months. Thank you so much for your support, my dude. Greatly appreciated. Just know that slipping back can and does happen, but you got out of it once, and more than once from how you speak. You can do it again. Oh, for sure. It's always, Fufi, I appreciate that. It's always about getting back on the fight. You know, when you're in that place though, and you're trying to get out, like sometimes it doesn't manifest that way, right? It doesn't manifest like, and now you're out because you thought about it. It's like, nah, you still got to suffer. You still got to suffer your own madness sometimes. I think it's just a case of trying to have better ways of combating that neuroticism when you start to notice yourself going that way. Being occupied by your thoughts for too long. Yes, the sweetest honeybee. Yeah, maybe that's it as well. Maybe that's like a bit of a flip side to, you know, talking about being sick and just lounging around and playing games and watching shows, but then you're also kind of just stuck with yourself a little bit. Something that I really enjoyed since getting better is just making videos again. Dang, it's been so much fun. See, now I look at that and I'm like, oh, what did we do over here? How did we deal with that little inconvenience? Oh, I changed the whole panel. Oh, well, there you go. We're doing that here then. We're changing the whole panel, apparently. Because that's what we do. It started here, didn't it? Yeah, there we go. Sometimes you need to confront what your stuff your subconscious wants to address, though, says McWoods. Yeah, yeah. No, I would describe what happened to me yesterday as not being like that. I was just in a weird state, and perhaps not a lot of rationality. Like, all I needed to do was just send a message and just be like, "Hey, not feeling so great. Do you fancy doing this? Are you around? If you're not, don't worry about it." Like, if the answer's no, that's great because I asked. But now I'm sort of left just wondering, like, oh, that day could have been different, right? Instead of me sitting around torturing myself, that could have been different. But like, you have to move on. You have to move on with that stuff. It's like, hey, maybe next time I'll catch it and I'll get it right. But it's such a simple thing to do, to reach out and ask. Yet it's got this neurotic brain that seems to make a mountain out of a molehill. It's just, ugh. It's not always like that, though. It's not always like that. Right, we'll go spend some diamonds, I think. I find being alone with your thoughts to be a common daily thing. Not sure if it's bad or not. Well, I'm alone with my thoughts a lot of the time, and I tend to like that. But like, what are your thoughts? The quality of your thoughts. Like, some days it's all creativity and fun, and oh, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do that thing, and ideas. That's the space I like. And then other times it's, I don't know, it's like I've taken a trip back in time. Anyway, I don't want to harp about it on about it too much. I just kind of wanted to get it off my chest. Feels good to do that. Just you know, you want someone to listen. Are these 1 or 2 per? Oh wait, it probably tells you right there. 2, yeah, 2 diamonds per stack. And I don't really have the means to transport it, do I? Well, we'll chuck some random stuff into here for now, and just have to remember to clear that out later. Cool, let's go play some Dark Oak. Dusky18, thank you so much for 5 gifted subs supporting our community. Appreciate you doing that. The Snowy Husky, Triggs, S19 Illy, Wally West of Earth 2, and Paleo Philosophy. Y'all been gifted subs. Be sure to say thanks in that chat. Also, the legendary Cybot here with the 9 months, a Twitch baby right there. Thank you, Cybot. By the way, thanks for just everything in the Redstone world. If I don't say it enough, I'm always like pestering Cybot with some Redstone ideas. There's just so many, like, there's things I can conceive, but I know I kind of just can't do the Redstone for. Like, I had this idea. So, one day when I was sick and I was just playing Minecraft and you know, playing it in that different way where it was like, I'm not trying to make a video. Like, I can't. I'm sick, but like I want to get on Hermitcraft and do stuff. And I wanted to build a skeleton farm, and so I had this idea of like, well, how can we get skeletons off a platform? I was thinking it through while I was knackered laying in bed, and like a bunch of different ideas crossed my mind, and then I like pictured flying machines that would go across the platform. So like you know, you got your spawner somewhere here, you got your 9x9 platform. The flying machine is going like left to right, and then it goes down, underneath, back across, up, like that. You could have 2 of them, one over here, one over there, and they both just sort of cycle around and push all the skeletons off. And I was thinking, that's pretty cool. It's not going to be the fastest thing ever, but it's just different and interesting. And anyway, I was pestering Cybot with those ideas. I couldn't figure it out. There's definitely like potentially a way to do it, but it was just dealing with stuff a little bit above my ability. And I came up with something else that was kind of interesting. Usually we use water streams, and we tend to just naturally do things in this game, like you'll run the water flat across flat blocks. And I realized that the shallower the water, the slower the mob goes. So if you just have a diagonal slope downwards underneath the spawner and put water at the top, you'll have the fastest pushing water all the way down, and the skeletons just kind of like fall in and immediately just go all the way down into the collection area. So that was kind of like a big improvement actually on like the traditional way of making little spawner farms. Just such a simple, different observation, I guess. Cybot says, for the skeleton farm, I actually never opened Minecraft. That's why my idea didn't work. Yeah, well, sometimes you never get past the theory part, right? Like, it's... You have to figure out the things that you need in order to make it work, and sometimes those things don't perhaps exist. But anyway, I built a skeleton farm on Hermitcraft using this new principle, which is pretty cool. Hey, Wallcrafter, thank you for 22 months with the Prime, saying thanks for all the entertainment. Appreciate it, my dude. Thank you for your support there. So in this tunnel, kind of just a very simple thing. How tall is it? It goes 1, 2, 3, and then we have the blocks come across, right? 1, 2, 3. Blocks come across here. So there's a lot of this stuff that I'm placing that may not even be necessary. Hey, JPLC1410. Thank you for the the 6 months for the Amazon Prime. Appreciate it. And the Touch of Kenny is here with the Prime too. Thank you for those Prime subs, peeps. Much appreciate. Yes, I think they kind of go up to that height, right? And then we saw that you got to place some redstone lamps, of which I can craft plenty because of the old witch farm. So we probably want to have like, actually, not really. What are we doing here? We start from there. Oh, this thing is like awkward. It's a 2-block thing, right? So in which case we'll probably have 4 of them with a 2 gap in the middle. And then don't tell me it's going to be the same again. It is. It's like maybe here and here. That's probably the way we're going to place them all now. Start placing them then. Oh, well, that block went. Ah. So this is how we do the grind. We figure out, you know, a small portion of the big picture. And then we get in there. We place those blocks. And repeat over and over again. I think they go up as high as this. And then it'll be somewhere, maybe that block actually, somewhere here. Dang it, how do I keep running out of stone blocks? Anyway, what do we want for the waffles? Chat, put your questions in the chat, and our mods here will probably pick out some interesting questions and stuff. I'm homesick and kind of sad about it, so I think X Life Chats is exactly what I needed right now. Glad you are over your sickness. Aha. Nomadic, sorry to hear that you're sick, my dude. I mean, yeah, I was just in that space, right? You just gotta try and keep your chin up, really. Not fall into those negative thought patterns and whatnot, which is what I did. Gotta grin and bear it a bit sometimes. What do you think about the future of Twitch with the stepping down of the CEO, says Dev Chimera. I don't know who the CEO is, so I don't really have an opinion. I do know, didn't the CEO of YouTube step down? You can go out there and you can find some opinions from people who, like, you know, clown on Susan for the various things that have happened over YouTube. I managed to find a really thoughtful video on that about the guy who's taking over and what he's done around YouTube, and then what Susan's done. And I completely forgot on the conclusion, but it was a pretty good one. I think they kind of indicated that the new CEO has like quite a different way of thinking about stuff, so you could expect to see some changes and stuff. And I think he was also responsible for some stuff on the platform that's quite unpopular as well. What are your thoughts on nihilism and stuff like that? We'd love to hear your thoughts as Vegeta. When I was young, I was a bit of like a nihilist misanthrope. And let me tell you, that kind of attitude just doesn't really get you anywhere in life. You just sort of wallow in your own misery. You know, maybe there's a lot that I could say, but that's just what I think about it right now. Like those sort of defeatist attitudes, like, you know, I'm holy and righteous because humanity sucks and there's no meaning to life and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, yeah, and it doesn't serve you anything. It doesn't do anything for you. You just, with that kind of mindset and thinking, you just end up being miserable, really. Which is fine if you want to be miserable. That being said, I do consider myself to be... what's the term that Kurzgesagt proposed? Like positive nihilism or something. Like, I don't actually like think meaning is something inherent, like out there in the world. Like you can't quantify or weigh it. It's not a thing. It's an idea. And therefore I don't think there's like some built-in meaning to any of this. However, that doesn't mean I then have to declare there's no meaning to anything, so what's the point? I like the idea that you make your own point, your own purpose. For me, I find a lot of that is in making videos and doing live streams. Optimistic nihilism, that's probably the one. You know, when I was initially talking about the nihilism thing, I was kind of thinking more like hatred of humanity type, misanthropic thinking, because that's what I used to have. I used to think humanity's terrible. You know, like there's no list of terrible things that we've done to one another and that we can do, and it's very easy just to sort of hyper focus on that stuff if you want to. It's the wrong type. And that's what I used to do a lot. I used to be sort of very interested in the worst of humanity. I used to watch, like, I used to try and find like the most disgusting movies or whatever, you know, like the real shockers out there. There was one called Begotten that was like a devilish movie for some of its some of the scenes it has in it. Very disturbing, horrible stuff. Anyway, you know, like, I was always just interested in the dark side and all the terrible things, you know, watching documentaries about serial killers and stuff, and it just wears you out. It just wears you out. And there's also a lot of good that humanity does, and it's very easy just to kind of be, oh, did that wrong. Very easy to be fixated on the worst of it. I saw a documentary about people who have lived long lives, and all of them lived in the present and didn't think too much about the future. I believe there's some studies connected to longer lives and positive thinking. It really made me think to strive to think more positive. Yeah, I'd be like, on the surface it sounds a little dubious. Like, the thing with studies is that it's quite easy to take a small data set and make it feel like kind of big and relevant. There probably is a difference between someone who consistently worries and someone who's you know, got a look on the bright side of life kind of attitude, right? No doubt there's going to be some obvious benefits for that, but it won't be the whole picture, you know. Like, there's always other factors, exercising and dieting correctly and living in the right place, you know. Air pollution can be a big thing. So when we go up a step, then that means that all of this has to be a little bit bigger, right? Because this goes as high as here. Hey, maybe what we'll do, like, we'll have that at the beginning, that's fine. But then here, why don't we give that sense of like steadily going up by changing this to that. Yeah, we'll do that. Foofy says humanity is pretty terrible, but there's also a lot of good it can do too. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you could say, because there's such a big history of like wars and terrible things that have happened, and it's much easier to focus on those things than the good things. But one thing that's certainly true is it was always easier to break stuff than it is to make and build. And it can be very easy, I think, to kind of look out into the world and see all the breaking that's taking place. There's always some breakages happening, right? And yet, despite all of that, look at the world that we built. Look how much stuff is out there, like, you know, infrastructure I'm talking about. Stuff that we've built that works, that increases the quality of our life and whatnot. Always look on the bright side of life, says Sam Cat. Indeed, that's the one, isn't it? What Minecraft structure needs a buff, and how would you buff it? Oh, there's a few. There's a few. The Jungle Temple. I don't know how I would buff it. Probably the Jungle Temple, start again from scratch. Vegeta says, for me, it's all about the concept of even though. Like, life is completely meaningless and there's a lot of bad things going on. There's still so much good in the world. You can still do good, even though everything is probably on fire. Yeah, you can do good when things are on fire. For sure. It just seems like the world's always on fire, though, right? If you don't pay attention to the news and you just sort of like focus on your immediate environment, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I am kind of aware that there's like stuff going on out there in the world, but things are okay right here. It's only in recent history that destructive stuff has been frowned upon. Most heroes of history were murderers and psychopaths, says McWoods. That's a really interesting observation. That's something that I've been thinking about like a fair bit with watching Game of Thrones, actually. It's just like, one thing I can't help but do when I watch something set back in those times is like always imagine going and trying to explain like modern technology, or imagine that you were sort of like sent back in time and you're stuck there, and like, could you convince these people how to like create a better society, a more productive one, or help them develop technology, like, because their ideas and conceptions are just so different based on the times. But yeah, that's a really interesting one, because the thing about history is that history's in a way like it's different at different times. Like, history gets kind of like revised the way we look at it. Like, we may go look at, you know, like colonialism is one that's rather agreeably had its head turned, where there was a time where perhaps, you know, let's say maybe 100 years ago, that a lot of colonial history and these figures in it may have been sort of regarded in a positive light when learning about, you know, they went out into the world, they did this thing, they did that thing, and then we've kind of had to like relearn that history somewhat and rethink about what it means. And so now we look at certain things in the past and we don't think about it the same way, because hopefully we are enlightened. Curls of Doom says, I don't think you could convince them. Advancement of technology and innovation is a process. Yeah. So if you go back to like medieval kings and queens, like one of the things that you sort of need to convince them is that they should educate the common man, right? Like the more people you educate, the better. And bringing those people more wealth, so they have the opportunity to participate in the economy in different ways and help advance the economy. Like, those things would be just so difficult, I think, to get across. You'd have so much resistance, right? How do you make the oh wait, you need soul lantern torches, don't you? That's what I'm thinking. How do you make them again? I am just blanking on how to make those torches. Oh, you need to use a crafting table, it would seem. Ah, right, yeah, okay, coal and sticks. Every now and then you got to make yourself some soul torches, right? Aha, plenty. And then make them into soul lanterns. Very good, very good. Yeah, and what was the thing that we actually came back here for? Oh yeah, I remember. I need some redstone. And some glowstone. Isn't there a bunch of glowstone here somewhere? A little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go. Got a stack of those. Probably going to come back here in a little bit for something else. You know how it goes. We walk into any UK high street and see a statue. It's so recent. So much is relative. Yeah, it definitely is recent, but like a lot of the modern age is recent. You know, things that lasted for thousands of years have sort of been smashed by the last 1,000 years of development. You know, things were done in particular ways for a long time, and then technology and the Industrial Revolution kind of came along and and whizzed things into a new era. But yeah, I always get fascinated when I watch those medieval era shows, just the idea of like being, I don't know, like you arrive back in time in a way that tells people that your presence is special in some way. You're a time traveler or whatever. Maybe you've got like a couple of gizmos and gadgets on you. Gadgets? like a mobile phone, right? And you got to use it and try and explain and convince some old king or whatever. I like, and let's just imagine that like the language barrier of English or whatever being different at those times and sounding different. Like, let's just imagine you can magically get around that. Like, the mindset is just so different. Like, trying to explain technology, I think they'll probably be like keen to chop your head off and call what you're doing wizardry if you whip out a phone, right? So this needs to be 1 block higher, which it is if we put these across. There was a statue in Bristol that got yeeted into the river a while back, says Bear. Yeah, the whole taking down the statues thing, I'm a bit of a mixed mindset about it. On one hand, it's hard to have much love for these people who participated in that. Yes, they were products of the time, but we now look at what happened during colonialism as being pretty darn awful. I mean, it's indefensible, basically. But people are of the time, and I don't know if that means we should think of them in a particular way or not. I think there's an importance to respecting that people are of the time, and the times will change. You know, the things we do and say today may someday be frowned upon, just because things are going to advance and progress in ways we can't really predict as of right now. A lot of people, you know, you think if you go back in time, right? I would have been one of those people fighting slavery or whatever. I wouldn't have been for it. And there are people that fought slavery bravery, but not a lot. Because it was kind of like the norm of the time, and people are a lot more normative than we probably like to think. We're a lot more shaped by the current time. So it's really easy to sort of think, oh, you know, if I went back in time, I'd show them. I wouldn't be into this slavery stuff. But there's a high likelihood that you would probably kind of just be, you know, going along with the norm, so to speak. So yeah, like there's that aspect of it, of like, you know, okay, these morals and ideas, they change with the times. Things we think today may one day be frowned upon. So I can see why people want to, like, you know, get rid of these statues and not have monuments to those people. There's also this other argument about like preserving history, and I think there's an importance to that. I'm more, I think, in favor of keeping these things but adding context to them. Like, okay, so we've got the statue of some old slave master. Let's explain why this person has a statue with the historical context, you know, because the context is like it's from a different time, and wealth and statue building was something different, and I think it's better for us to be to have that broader scope, right, rather than it to be removed and then not have that opportunity to learn from it, I guess. Like, I think people are good enough to kind of know about these things and understanding why they're there, and that we no longer revere them for being here, or something. Am I making sense? I just can't quite reach the right words. But, you know, saying that, like, I'm also not really that bothered by these things being removed either. I'm like, yeah, they're kind of terrible. Like, chuck that statue in the river or whatever. I don't mind. Like, I'm not someone who gets, like, all riled up about it. Ah, we should keep these statues. But I do think there is something to be said about preserving history in a way where you add additional context to it. Yeah, X, that's what museums are for, says the Go of Man. Yeah, it makes so much more sense to put those things in a museum now, doesn't it, than to have them as statues on the street. Because they kind of say something a little different when they're a statue in the street, or things are named after people. It's quite a bit different from having something preserved in a museum. Yeah, I guess one thing you could say is, like, we don't really have a norm for these things. We live in such a fresh and new time. As I said earlier, like, in the past, traditions and various things were just done the same way for such a long time. And now we have to grapple with, like, just a totally new and rapidly unfolding environment. Like, you know, because technology accelerates, you know, we have to deal with things like ChatGPT and AI and whatnot now, right? Like, the equation of what our society is and how we exist in it is just constantly becoming something new and changing. And so we have to grapple with, like, the past 100 years. Put new statues up along the others, says Vesli. If we put up new statues of people, is it not possible that in the future that they might be seen in the same way again, right? Like, turns out that what we're all doing today is, I don't know, terrible. Like, eating meat. I think eating meat has got a pretty good case point for maybe one day just being one of those things that people are like, that is unbelievable, because there is, like, an orchestrated mass genocide of animals basically taking place for us to eat on the planet. You know, like, if you don't want to think about it that way, that's fine. I eat meat. I tend to not think about it that way, but I will not be surprised if one day it's like really frowned upon in a way of sort of like, I can't believe they did that. You know, so then some people of today, I don't know, like, could it be that, you know, famous sports figures and musicians that are revered today, in the future they're like, oh, but they were a meat eater, God, you know, the way we think about slave traders, could it go that way? It's easy to think, nah, but, you know, times change and the people change with it. With this, will this entire tunnel not burn if it catches fire? No, we play with fire tick off so that our buildings don't burn on Hermitcraft. That was a change we made a very long time ago, and it's just been a staple ever since. I am Modesty. Thank you ever so much for your Prime. 9 minutes ago. Gosh, I've been waffling. Thank you ever so much for the supporting the channel, my dude. Like, in the 70s in France, there was still the public execution. Dang, the 70s, you know? So close. So recent. There you go. Oh my god, the meat debate is such an interesting one. I know many vegans. I know many farmers who raise animals for meat. Small farms usually treat their animals much nicer than industrial scale ones. Before the pandemic, I was buying from my meat from a local farm, and then the pandemic just, like, totally changed that whole routine, and I have not got back into it, and I every now and then get reminded of it, and I want to get back into that. pay a bit more for it. Actually, God, you might pay through the nose now because of inflation. Yeah, I mean, like, for me, the argument, if like, I've talked about it on stream before, if I just give you, like, the TLDR of it all, I think ethically there's definitely a claim, and it's something that may be frowned upon in the future and whatnot, but what I can't get on board with is trying to make it a health argument. And also, I think I've kind of shied off of it as a an environmental issue as well, because people have to eat, and meat is good nutrition, good food, basically. It's some of the best food you can choose to eat. You need protein. It's some of the best source of protein. Satiating, and you know, it's obviously a part of our diet. It's just when that happens on an industrial scale, it starts to look very, very different from how it once was for people to eat meat for such a long time. More animals are killed for a kilogram of tofu than a kilogram of pork. The farmer needs to poison rats and whatever else to attack the farm. Yeah, you see, I've heard arguments like that made before about, you know, what about all these soybeans and all the pesticides and killing of rats and stuff. There's always going to be these, like, tangled elements of things like that, you know. What annoys me is that it's kind of hard to find people being more sort of rational, level-headed on this stuff, and it's usually like finding data to fit your argument. So if your argument is an ethical one, then it seems like a lot of the information about what's actually going on with farming and how it contributes to climate change and other things is, like, you know, some of the data offer can be cherry-picked and not as fair as it sounds like when it's presented. I'm sure many of you heard these, like, statistics about how much land usage animal farming has, right? Or how much crops we grow to feed animals. But the thing is, like, a lot of animals graze on terrain that isn't suitable for doing anything else with. They graze on hilly terrain with lots of rocks, and they eat the grass in between. And then a lot of the feed that they're given is, like, it's the leftovers of the stuff that we don't eat, you know. So you grow all these wheat fields and plants and yada yada yada, and then you get all these bits that we don't eat, like the stalks that are left over, and they're used for animal feed. So I'm not saying that's everything, but it's like these things are usually some of this, some of that, and how much is it of each. And depending on who you're listening to, they're going to tell you it's this much or that much, and that's what I dislike with these sorts of things. Really, is that it's really hard to get the proper picture of what's going on out there. You can't fight nature. People eat meat. We have for thousands of years. Yes, we're omnivores. To live, you must eat life. This is the way, says Dago of Man. You know, yes, maybe. I don't think you need a crazy amount of meat to live off of, though. There's certainly vegetarians that have lived vegetarian lifestyles for a long time. Although all of this stuff is always, like, kind of recent, like really recent. Again, it's the thing with studies that I keep thinking about. Being someone who's trying to be a bit more, like, open-minded with hearing about this stuff, I noticed that, oh, there's always this study over here, this study over there, and sometimes I think it can be a bit misleading to think of studies as just having the answer for everything, because, like, we can study groups of vegetarians or whatever, but we can't study what happens to our genetics if we eat a particular way over like thousands of years. Like, it kind of breaks down at that point, because yeah, it seems pretty straightforward that people can get by without eating meat and be vegetarian, but like, does that affect anything over a really long time scale? You know, genetics and stuff like that? I don't know. So, with these studies and stuff, you have to be a little bit dubious, I think, and sometimes just think about the broader context of what exactly it is it's trying to say. But yeah, I reckon, you know, like, from my own interest and research into these things, being vegetarian seems fine. It's going vegan is where now you're going to have like some deficits and things, nutrition that you can't get elsewhere very well. And so I always say, if you want to go vegan, make sure you get like blood work done, and you're going to need to take supplements and stuff. What are your opinions on synthetic meat alternatives, like meat like fungi fortified with vitamins and hemi, says Lucia. My opinion is this, basically. Anything that isn't meat, that is trying to be like meat, is basically highly processed food. You know, you can't get away from it. Those what the meat products and whatever they're called, heck, there's a bunch of them. You know, some of them are super tasty. I've eaten them. But the thing that got me is that after a while I kind of realized this isn't like fresh vegetables. You know, this is just highly processed stuff. And you know, my rule with eating is to try and avoid that stuff and eat fresh veg and stuff, yet the marketing around this stuff has kind of just sort of convinced me, oh yeah, healthy alternative to meat, right? Whereas actually it's like, well no, it's highly processed food at the end of the day. So I don't touch anything that's you know, meat but not meat anymore. I think meat is a great source of protein, says Little Indian. It is a great source of protein. I've been sitting for way too long. It's time to stand. And stand we will. McWood says, so much crap in the meat replacements, man. Yeah, there you go. You just... Everything I said, just... Let's shorten it down to a single sentence, right? I'm not terribly interested in lab-grown meat, because again, I wonder, is it one of these things where, like, okay, we make lab-grown meat, and then you eat it for like generations of people, and then there's some side effects down the end of the line or something. I don't know. Maybe it isn't that much of a concern. It's just one of those things. That's why I think, you know, if you're eating just meat, you know what it is. But then all this other stuff is something different. Probably shouldn't be trying to like replace. Well, the reason they're trying to replace meat is because you just can't convince people not to eat meat. There's again studies, statistics. Can you take them with a pinch of salt? I don't know, but I've heard that like a lot of people that give up meat don't really sustain it, and that's why there's such a big push for fake meat stuff, is because people just don't give up meat. What about eating the insects thingy? Someone talk about, says me Sky Glow. Well, over here I don't intentionally eat insects, but I would give them a try if I were abroad. You know, in a different country where that's like the culture. I would like to give it a try at least. Blackjack says vegan meat should be banned for false advertising. I don't know that it should be banned. In fact, it actually has in some states in America. I know that there's been lawsuits and stuff, and they're not able to use the word meat. It's all just like a marketing thing, really, right? Like it's like it ends up becoming a product, and you got to sell the product, and like, what are you gonna call it? Meat alternative. They're trying to sell these things. So obviously they want to call it meat. And I do think it is misleading to call it meat. So maybe call it meat alternative, I don't know. Crickets are pretty good, they taste like chicken, says Sam Cat. Oh! Now I got something to talk about now. Now I got something to talk about now. Oh yeah. boiled chicken. I bumped into Scar on his live stream. Had a little bit of a chat. Somehow, what were we talking about? Chat GTP. Using it to search for stuff. And I was making this example about how you go onto Google and the pages that you encounter when you're searching for something are just trying to get you to look at ads in between the content. And I just wanted to know how long I should boil this chicken for. I mean, that wasn't actually what I was looking up at. I just made an example off the top of my head. I think it was like some other vegetable or something I was looking for recently. Because I know to boil a chicken, you really don't need to put it in hot water for more than 8 minutes. Right? So chat absolutely freaks out about the fact that I eat boiled chicken. And I don't understand it. Like, it's a big deal. It's like a whole pineapple on pizza thing. People are freaking out. And I've now had the time to take count and realise that there's a whole bunch of stuff that I eat that has boiled chicken in. Like, why is this a big deal? And I have a theory that I think maybe people don't think about what boiled chicken actually means. Like, we're not talking about throwing in a whole chicken and just boiling it and eating it. Like, it's usually like you got some chicken breast or chicken thighs, you cook them in hot water, and then you put them into another part of the meal. Maybe it goes into a broth or a soup or something like that. Maybe you season it at some point or put it into a salad. Who knows? But chat freaked out about it, and when I've been sick, like this past week, I've had like a lot of boiled chicken. In fact, I had some boiled chicken today. I had some soup, and I just got some bits of chicken breast, boiled them, and chucked them into the soup. Now, you don't always have to do it as super plain as that, but man, this whole freaking out about boiled chicken, it's just like one of those moments where I'm like, okay, this is an internet big deal thing apparently. Okay, whatever. I wonder if people freaked out thinking you meant completely unseasoned boiled chicken. That's what I mean, completely unseasoned. And now when I ate it, I took count, and I'm like, this chicken tastes great. Like, chicken tastes good without seasoning too. Like, what is with this freak out? You know? I don't know. It was funny to read some of their comments as Little Indian. It was a good laugh. It was a good laugh. I'm a good sport, but I'm gonna defend the boiled chicken. That's for sure. I think boiled chicken's great. Like, yes, cooking it, frying it. There's like, seasoning it. There's loads of stuff you can do to make your chicken nice and tasty. But when it comes down to it, like, you don't need to season it because the chicken tastes bad. It just tastes better when seasoned, right? So I'm pretty good with the old boiled chicken. It don't bother me. Hey, the legendary May School is here. 96 months. Oh my goodness me, we're getting so close, and I still don't even have a plan for 100. Oh my god. I'll probably panic when we hit 99 and be like, right, time to pull the finger out. Something's got to be done. Wait, I just put the wrong wood over here, didn't I? When it boils down to it, don't have a problem with that, says Mark0G. When it boils down to it, exactly. The puns, they're everywhere. Seems like my chat is not so fussed about it, though. People with air fryers think the only way to cook nowadays... I looked up a video on air fryers, and what I learned is that it's the same as the oven I have in my kitchen. And they didn't sort of say... Oh, if I built this entire thing a little bit too low... It does feel too low. I might change it up. We might change something up here. Yes, basically they were saying that if you've got a fan oven like I have, that's basically doing what the air fryer is. And so they kind of like said, you probably don't need one of these if you've got an air fan oven. And yeah, the video didn't seem to really be that keen on the whole air fried phenomenon, but they kind of explained what it was all about and whatnot. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to get one. Because apparently I've already got one, basically. Short Insomniac, thank you ever so much for 14 months. Hello, I'm enjoying the boiled chicken chat. Oh, we love the boiled chicken chat. Yeah, chat, do you think we need to go back and raise all this up by one block? It looks like I've kind of got it at the wrong height. In fact, now that I walk through here, definitely, like you got the 1, 2, 3, but that's on both sides, right? So when you come this way, it's like 1, 2, 3. So that way it's good, and it would be like extra high. But then this way, I think actually when we build this bit, it's going to be in line with that, right? Because it's got to go 1, 2, 3. It's the place to be. Then it's at this height. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what it's going to look like, I guess. Because that's the way we designed the tunnel. This is why, like, the slope stuff just... I don't know. Next season of Hermitcraft, I think I'm going to have to go, like, Embrace the Chaos style. No counting. I've wanted to do that for so long. I imagine I will probably be terrified of trying to do that, actually, so... It may or may not happen. I like how we've done slavery, veganism, and boiling chicken. Everyone's been cordial, great community, says McWoods. It is a great community here, isn't it? Air fryer equals glorified convection oven, says Verity. Yes, that's basically what they were saying in this video. And for that reason, I don't think I'll bother with an air fryer. Sometimes things are like that. Like, sometimes some company has got a product, they need to shift it, they need to sell it. They come up with a name, you know, an advertising campaign, and then people go for it. And they're like, sometimes you sell them something they've already got. Because that's the free market economics right there. Create a demand and supply it. Do you know what I've created a demand for in my time? Derp. That's my contribution to our great economy. I've created a demand for derp, and only I know how to satisfy it. Look at those derp stonks in chat. The name air fryer is purely a marketing term, says Face32. Yeah, yeah, you know, putting a new thing on it. Like you might have a technology and it's that thing that everyone knows, right? But you give it a shiny new name. What was it I heard? Did someone tweet something at me? I was reading something earlier about a particular word and sort of. I think it was something to do with colonialism. Was there something I said in my video? I can't remember where I was reading it. I can't remember if it was because I saw something today that was aimed at me on Twitter where I was like, okay, you're doing that worst possible interpretation thing. And I can't remember if it was that. But it was something to do with a word that had... Oh man, it's almost coming back to me. I feel like if I say colonialism enough time, it will all of a sudden make sense. Anyway, it was some sort of word or something that was actually quite common from the colonial era. And they were sort of saying that this is like insensitive and we should stop doing this. Oh my god, I now know what it is. It's in a book I was reading. It's the word curry. That's why it felt so personal. That's why it felt so personal when I read it. I was like, curry? What's wrong with saying curry? Idea being that it's like a colonial era term for cuisine. And you know what? There's some interesting stuff in there. Oh, I know where I put my moss blocks. So it basically they were saying that curry, like to call Indian cuisine curry, is actually this kind of colonial era term that's offensive and all this stuff. And it's the bit where you go, oh, it's offensive and whatnot, where it's like, well, you know, if culture changes and the times change and people stop using it, maybe we'll look back and go it was offensive. But like, as of right now, when people are like, oh, I want to have a curry, they're not trying to offend anyone. You're not, you know, it's nothing like that. But it's just an interesting point about how this stuff wasn't called curry, and then because of how colonialism happened, it's now known as curry. And that's like that's a fair point. Again, it's like the statue stuff. It's like, I don't think we should be like up in arms, raving at people, trying to cancel people for saying curry or whatever. Like, go the educational route. You know, now you can know that this cuisine's name may perhaps have a sort of unfavourable take due to how it was a part of colonialism in history. But it makes a really good point. It also got me thinking about, like, that's the nature of language too, though, right? Like, stuff just warps and changes over time, and words, they have meanings, but those meanings change with the time, and there'll be so many examples of, like, things that are perhaps common just being sort of misunderstood and whatnot because of how language has shaped them. Right, this slope stuff, you know what? I don't like it. I don't want to continue it. I'm gonna lower this actually. For this part, we're just gonna do away with the whole slopiness. Keep it nice and straight, I think. Yeah, let's do it that way. And we've also got this here as well. Because what I was going to do was continue the slope at the same gradient all the way up there and then take a right hand turn. Is always like these sorts of building decisions, they're driven by that kind of like neatness part of your brain. Oh no, but like the pattern is no longer the same. Like, it actually doesn't matter. Like, you're going to walk through this tunnel a whole bunch of times and never care. But like, why does the brain get like that? Right? Why can it not just accept a little naturalness and chaos? I don't know. And it's one of the things I really want to try and embrace at some point. I just want to do building where it's like, let's not actually count anything here and just place blocks. Let's just put things between where we want to go and where we want to get. There's a great example of that actually down here. Like, this tunnel is just totally embracing that, right? There's no need for measuring stuff here. Yeah, the way I play and design tunnels, can't do that. I need to figure that out. I need to add that to my arsenal, really. So even now we're going to be like, okay, we don't need to do that slope thing. I'm basically just going to mirror our design here again, I think. We'll go for the, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, 5 slabs, so 7 blocks in between. 1, 2, 3. Come out to here. That's where that one goes. That's how we're going to do it now. Short Insomniac says, didn't know about the history of the world curry though. That's interesting. It is interesting. It's fascinating to think about it through that lens. Oh yeah, okay, so like, how did this food come over here, and why did it come over here with this name, and what was its original name? And you can see how you can tie colonialism into this, but then when it gets sort of like thrown out there into that, like, this is actually terrible that people call food curry, it's like, no, what we need is that broader context of like, you educate people, you tell them that, oh, actually there's a rich history of cuisine here, and you don't need to call everything within it curry. There's other types of things going on here. God, I'm so bad with the words today. And I think that educating people is just so much better than this, like, oh, that's offensive type approach to stuff. One issue is that the original name wasn't English. Lots of foods have different name in different languages. Where is the line drawn between accepting a different name in a different languages versus that being destroyed in the original name? I mean, to me, there isn't a line. There's education. There's like, let's make it so that people can find out. You know, okay, we call it curry, but here's the original story. Like, here's where it came from, and it used to be called this. And because curry's a bit of like a catch-all. There's like so many different types of dish that can just be called curry, and that really like dilutes all the things that you could know about these different types of cuisines, right? Education is the answer. X, did you read that is offensive, or did you just use the history of the word example? Now, what I read was that someone basically had the idea, hang on a minute, this curry stuff is like got its roots in colonialism, and then put out some angry tweets into the world saying like, this is offensive, and you know, we should stop using this word. And again, like as I've made my point abundantly clear, it's just that whole jump to like, and when people go, let's order a curry, they're not like, let's disrespect this cuisine and, you know, laugh in colonialism era or whatever. Like, that's just not what is the intention of people or what it's about. It just seems like sometimes people are like looking for a bit of controversy or something. Or just thinking about it in that mindset, you know? Maybe it's not that healthy. I'm going to go grab some slabs and stairs to help me do this bit. Carl says, oh, okay, people just need something to be upset about. Yeah, it's kind of just like I think a byproduct of like cancel culture, if that's even a thing, and the way people interact with each other online. Like, so much stuff gets like filtered through this lens of like outrage. And sometimes you don't need to be outraged that someone calls this dish a curry, right? Like, there's not really what's going on here. It's just, yeah, you've sort of pointed out that it's I don't know. It's not the most like enlightened term. It's kind of become a bit of a catch-all. But telling people to stop using the word, it's not how people are going to think about it. People shouldn't be able to say master bedroom in that case either, says Girls. That's a great example, right? However, in computer terminology, with hard drives and hard disks, you used to set them up so that you have like a master and a slave. And there's definitely something to be said about language and how we use it, right? And there was actually like a bit of an effort a while back to get rid of terms like blacklist and whitelist in computer programming. Now, I think the wrong way to go about it is to be like, oh my god, you know, you're using whitelist in your programming, you're terrible, like, because that's the way it seems to happen on Twitter. That just doesn't seem helpful or productive to me. Like, but educating people on the idea that, hey, maybe we should just use different language here. It doesn't have to be a big deal. And I think it's smart to do that sometimes, because it can be subliminal in a way, just to use terminology like that. Just subliminally shapes the way you think a little bit. Maybe it'll never manifest into anything harmful or problematic, but the term does have a nasty taste to it in some ways when you break it down and think about it. So like, if we can come up with some new terms, if we can make some new language to explain this stuff, then why not? Right, this right here is where the portal's going to go, I think. Whenever we get to that bit. What about Black Friday then, says Kiro Bunks. You know, at some point in time, they might go, yeah, let's change the name of this, you know? I think with blacklist and whitelist, the problem is probably more so that it's also entangled with other terms like master and slave, and I can't remember what some of the others are, right? So if you got like a bunch of overlapping things, it's might as well change most of them. The master and slave thing, at least in program, has been changed into main. So when you have a branch in code, the first one is called main nowadays. Yeah. I don't do much coding to know, and I don't remember much about what the changes were when all of that stuff happened, because they're all stuff that I wasn't too familiar with. But Master and Slave I always remember from old computers that had, like, with a 486 processor, and if you wanted to have multiple hard drives, one had to be the slave to the other, and you had to like configure it physically. I think you had to go in and like put these little breakers over some pins on the hard drive. These days, so much stuff with computers is like plug and play, you know. But back then, they were a bit more finicky. They were a bit trickier to deal with, and yeah, it was just one of those things you had to do to get the hard drives to work. Put them into master and slave mode. Dev says, yeah, we still have master threads and slave threads in computing. Yeah, and that might be something that, you know, is on the way out now, because people are making efforts to change this stuff. Which I don't have a problem with, you know. I think things do change, and makes sense to try and make those changes. As I've probably made abundantly clear, I'm going to sound like a broken record now, it's like when you go after people on Twitter, oh my god, that code you wrote has this term in it. It's like, come on. Like, just because we're now getting this new idea of, hey, maybe this thing we're doing needs to change, right? Like, doesn't mean we need to go on a witch hunt. Sadly, in photography, there isn't a widespread replacement for terms master and slave. I usually just say main light. Oh, I don't even know how it translates to photography, but there you go, yeah. Cool, I'm getting a bit of lag when I look in that direction. Blackjack says, the part I find ridiculous is that one of the big issues with slavery is that you were treating people as objects/property. But the slave used in computing is literally an object. Are people trying to make these objects into people? I don't know like how they directly compare, but I just think it's the nature of the terminology is that it's tied up in something, a nasty part of human history, and it doesn't seem to me like it's necessary that these things need to continue to be called that way, you know? Right, I'm going to need some more lamps, that seems evident. I really don't like this slope tunnel. Oh, whatever. One thing we use are parent and child objects in Unity, says Dev. Yeah, that's a good way to, like, one is above the other, right? And I doubt that'll become offensive. Who knows? But yeah, that's another way of expressing a similar, like, relationship, right? Because that's what you express in a relationship. And obviously, masters and slaves is something we frown upon now. Right, I don't think I need those things anymore. And I said I came back here to... do I have some... I think I've got some glowstone in here. No? Okay. I have plenty of glowstone over at the farm. I just don't really want to take a trip right now. What's in the hopper at the back? If I can even reach it. That stuff. So I can make 32 more. I feel like I should have a stash of glowstone somewhere around here. But behold, I don't. I guess I'll go grab a box of glowstone and just drop it off back here. Xisuma, I'm guessing you've learned from every season's Nether Hub. What lessons did you take from designing and building the Season 6 Nether Hub? Oh, I don't think there's like a lesson to be taken from that hub. That hub was my favourite. That was just a brilliant execution of a very functional and useful Nether Hub design. What I would like to personally do next, though, is go for like a chaotic sort of sprawl of like when you plop up your Nether portal, like decorate it, make it interesting. Oh yeah, what I need is like a project. Okay, so my project one is kind of full up, so this one's having all the other stuff chucked into it, basically. Yeah, I really like the idea of just having something like just totally organic, where, you know, I got my Nether Hub here. Okay, I'm gonna decorate it a little bit, and then your Nether Hub, oh my God, Nether Portal. Your Nether Portal's over there. You decorate yours. Let's link them together. Build a little tunnel between them. Like, I really love the idea of it all just coming together through patchwork. Kind of like what Empires did a little bit, says Fufi. Not like what Empires did. We did that in Season 7, the whole on the roof with the carpets. I'm talking about, if you think about the bit I pointed out that Cubfan did opposite the tunnel we're building, the very organic feeling one. Or anything really. I just, you know, no coordinated layout and just having things connect organically. Now, that might sound a bit crazy in terms of navigating it, and it will be a different type of navigation that gets undertaken. You know what, we're going to go repair that and that as well. But then what you get is like things coming together in a very different way, and like everyone having to work to patch together all the seasons. Season 3 of Hermitcraft actually had a Nether Hub like that, a patchwork one. It was at a time though where we weren't as good builders, so it was like a lot of boxy rooms sort of being stitched together, let's say. Right, I know we saw, here it is. Oh yeah, the crystals and trapdoors thing kind of like stops down at this level. Just patch that in. Oh, okay, I think I get what you mean, says Fufi. Hopefully you do. Cerulean Phoenix says, hey, it's completely unrelated, but I just wanted to thank you for introducing me to Matthew Walker through Joe Rogan interview. I ended up reading his books and realised how poor my sleeping was. Oh, good to hear it, my dude. Yeah, that guy, when I heard him on there, that was like a life changer. It was like, yeah, I need to think about how I sleep and get some good sleep hygiene, right? That's something I've noticed. So I had some really like rough nights when I was sick, and wait a minute. You're not real. You can't spawn. They're not supposed to spawn around here, are they? I think I might start building a little bit more of the roof here. How did it go again? Like, put those things in and mud blocks up top. I don't think I've even got like a bunch of mud blocks lying around really. What I should be doing is tidying this up a bit. Because it's a little bit disgusting right now, isn't it? Just leaving this lying around. Oh, how could I? And then there's one more box over here. Don't think you've escaped me. I remember. Oh wait, was that where I had some glowstone? Oh look, that's where my glowstone was hiding out. I knew I had a few stacks somewhere. Right, guess what? I need to nip to the loo, peeps. I need to nip to the loo. Don't go anywhere, because I will be right back, as they say. Let's get that BRB screen on. There we go. Rightio, I am back. I am back. And I didn't say hi to Ren and Efo logging in. Argor of the Mind, thank you ever so much for your Prime subscription, my dude. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you ever so much. X, you watch the Eurovision Song Contest. All the songs are now released for this year. I do not. I got no interest in that old thing. I need to go get some mud for the top of this. Horns, thanks for tuning in. Go get your rest, my dude. Sleep is important. It's good that you're, you know, sometimes you got to stop doing what you're enjoying and do what you got to do. Get some sleep. Here's what we're going to do. I love doing this with my shulker boxes now. Glowstone! Bam! Just chuck that one in there. That'll be nice and easy to spot. Right, and then as for all of this junk... let's get those nether blocks sorted away. And put the moss over here, where it belongs. Wrong one. Okay, then all of this stuff can just go into there. Yep, so all of that can get sorted away. Look at me being all organised and stuff, right? Scaffolding can go back in the ender chest. Xisuma, have you gotten your shulker boxes to look the way they do in your inventory? Oh, that's using a combination of resource pack and a couple of mods. Well, a mod called CIT Resewn or something. Let's see. Spruce stairs, I think, were the other thing that we needed. Getting some pro emotes in the chat. I'm a pro, am I? What have I been doing? Does Matthew Walker have advice for when you're still tired after sleeping consistently well? I think when you wake up feeling tired, but you know you got a good night's sleep, you just need to crack on with the day quick. That's when I like to have a cold shower. Like, if you've still got that sleepiness, that'll snap you right out of it. Yeah, what I was going to say is that, like, I've had, like, several days in a row of just really good sleep. And, he talks about how you can't get catch-up sleep. Like, when you lose sleep, you have a bad night's sleep, you don't really, like, get it back. But, and I'll feel like you do sometimes. Because I had some dreadful nights of sleep while I was sick, and then since then, now that I'm like better, I've been sleeping like a baby. You know, just been totally zonked. Yeah, I'm feeling alright. I guess I will use these as temporary blocks. No wait, that doesn't make any sense. It goes like that. I need those stone... Oh, they're actually up here with me. So if I understand this layout correctly... Yeah, it goes a little bit higher. Also, they're not spruce up there, are they? Oh, I got the wrong type of wood. Would you believe? Would you believe it? See? Ah, puns. Dev Chimera says, my siesta begs to differ. Spanish extra sleep for when you need that extra sleep time back. Yeah, this is what I like about science, if it's done right. I mean, if we take it what he says at face value, like, you are not a good... like, how you feel isn't always the truth, right? You know, you can get given a drug that make you feel all sorts of different things or whatever. The idea is that there are people that are like sleep machizoists, as they call it. You know, oh, I got my 4 hours of sleep, I'm up and ready to go. But they can like physically measure your vital signs and see how your body is operating, and so the idea is that rather than it be about how do you feel, it's like, what can we see is happening in your body? And this is where this idea that you can't get catch-up sleep comes from. It's not from how you feel, because I feel like I've been getting catch-up sleep, but supposedly it's not really a thing. So maybe you feel like you're getting catch-up sleep, but supposedly the science shows us that the functions of sleep, you can't just catch them back later by getting, you know, a few extra hours the next day. It doesn't work that way. Is or what's been said at least. I think what I might do here, because like normally these would be on these sides, I'll just put them so it just goes straight across here. Like, why not? There's no rules to this. Do as we want. So then all of this has to become stripped wood. And then we put mud on top. Got some creepy cavern music playing right here. Have you had any coffee while being sick or just tea? Oh yeah, I've totally gone off drinking tea and coffee. I just couldn't drink it while I had the sore throat. So all I've been drinking is water, and it still hasn't come back to me. Like, I haven't really... I've had a few cups of tea and I haven't really enjoyed it. And I haven't had any coffee. Really weird. I'm sure it'll come back at some point. So in spots like this, we do that. And put this across. And then again on the other side. And then probably fill this stuff in with a little bit of stone too. Yep, only 2 blocks. I guess that's the way it was always going to work out, right? Did I do all of that? Nope. How you feeling, X? Any better? Says Plays. Yeah, I'm feeling better for sure. I don't drink much tea, but I had tea with honey for my sore throat today, and it was spectacular. I tried to make a honey and lemon, and it was god awful. don't know if I made it wrong somehow, but I always remembered that one being a good one for a sore throat, and yet, ugh. Dang, we done a heck of a lot of this tunnel today. Like, I was just thinking, oh man, it's going to take forever to finish it. But now that we're putting these blocks in, I'm like, oh, actually, this is pretty close. This is pretty close to being done. It seems everyone's getting sick now. It's kind of funny, says Joseph. Every time, I don't know, it feels like everyone always talks about, oh, there's something going around, there's a bug. Sickness is always in circulation. Anyway, I think what I had was the flu, by the way. Just seasonal flu. It was a rough one. It was all that body ache. Feverish nights. That's what made me think it's flu. Right, make a bunch more of those stairs. Yeah, there we go. It's looking alright, isn't it? Place, there we go. I've just got over my sickness. It's only March and I've been sick about 5 times, says Joseph. Dang. 5 times in March. Not a lot of room for anything else, really, is there? Right, those are all going to go in there now. I'm lucky I don't get the flu. I've never had it, says Little Indian. Dang, that is some luck right there. Right, my friends, this is where I wrap up today's stream. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me for some tunnel building today. I'll be back again Monday is my next planned stream. For some hermits helping hermits, perhaps. We'll see what happens. As of right now, though, I'm going to go see if there's someone we can raid at the end of the stream. Just want to say a big thank you to everyone for subscribing, resubscribing, donating and cheering. Thanks to all the people gifting subs. Thanks to all the mods, the patrons, and the people gifting the subs in the chat. Y'all are appreciated. I'll send you over to Scar today. There is some MCC going on right now. That's where everyone is this evening. They're watching MCC. Okay, let's go ahead and raid Scar. Good times with Scar. Right, that's it from me. Thank you, everyone. Take care.